Welcome back to the V-Boys, you PlayStation Vita fans out there. Today, we're going to take a look at Toukiden Kiwami because it's finally here for the PlayStation Vita after a much hyped build-up to the release of the game. But was it worth the wait? Let's see in our buy or don't buy review right here. The original Toukiden Age of Demons took to the PS Vita with a great deal of success, and for good reason. The game blended an amazing single-player campaign seamlessly with a flawless multiplayer feature. Players could fight online or join up with other friends to fight Oni and retain the same level and weapons earned in both modes with one seamless transition. Toukiden Kiwami is no different than Toukiden the Age of Demons, but perhaps that is the problem. The title, while adding some great features, is awfully similar to the original version. In fact, the entire game of Toukiden the Age of Demons is packed into this title with what appears to be very few added features, and I say what appears to be added features because the game in fact does add so much to Toukiden Kiwami, it just isn't well advertised and can throw off a potential buyer. See, the title includes the entire original Toukiden the Age of Demons, as well as an onslaught of new missions, new Oni, characters, Matama moves, and so much more. The problem doesn't lie within whether the game adds great content or not, but whether or not people actually know about it. The game throws players off by putting them through the same exact tutorial, missions, and dialogue as the original Toukiden. If I am an uninformed buyer, this ticks me off that I ever made the purchase and discourages me from wanting to continue playing the title at all. But enough of the complaining of what the game appears to have or not have, because in fact, the Toukiden Kiwami adds so much to the original Toukiden the Age of Demons. In fact, let's show you starting with gameplay, which receives a 9 out of 10 from us. When playing Toukiden, you get exactly what you expect, and trust me, that is a good thing. The gameplay is still the exact hack and slash that you came to love in the original Toukiden, with some great added features including a slew of new weapons, new Oni, new moves, and twice as many stages to play through. If you are a fan of the original Toukiden or the Soul Sacrifice series, you will feel right at home here and not feel like you wasted $30 at all when you come to make your purchase. And while the gameplay receives a 9 out of 10, the multiplayer does even better than that with a 10 out of 10 from the Vita Boys, because I honestly couldn't or wouldn't change a single thing about the multiplayer in Toukiden the Age of Demons. But that doesn't stop the development team from adding some great new features to the multiplayer in Toukiden Kiwami. The game has now added new moves in multiplayer based on cooperation. In the original title, the goal of the team was to go their separate ways and hack and slash till every Oni is dead. Well, now the multiplayer adds a more teamwork-oriented approach by adding extremely powerful moves that can only be completed through the art of teamwork. As always, the multiplayer is extremely seamless and it's so easy to connect to a game, and there's always people online. The great multiplayer on here is absolutely amazing, and I honestly would not add a single thing. So it receives the perfect score out of a 10 out of 10, which is extremely hard to get. Finally, the story of Toukiden receives an 8 out of 10 from us, but honestly, that's being slightly generous. The story in Toukiden isn't necessarily one to go crazy over, especially if you hate reading. Unless, of course, you speak Japanese, then you are in for one special treat.
Toukiden Kiwami.
The story in Toukiden definitely wasn't at the forethought of the developer's mind when it came to this game, which is okay because it allows players to enjoy the gameplay of this title much more. Needless to say, this doesn't mean there isn't a good enough story to enjoy here. Kiwami takes place 3 months after the original game, which was about a battle to prevent another awakening. The village of Utaka enjoys an uneasy peace. However, that peace is suddenly rendered asunder when more Oni appear from the north, ripping the defenses of the Midlands to shreds. In other words, more Oni have appeared and you must go fight them. But hey, some games aren't meant to be story-oriented, and that's okay, and that is why Toukiden receives an 8 out of 10, which, like I said, is slightly generous. Toukiden Kiwami is a great game, and I would suggest it to anybody to play. If you don't mind reading text throughout a very lengthy title and love somewhat repetitive gameplay, then this title is definitely for you. Also, the multiplayer is exactly what any and every PS Vita fan should definitely be searching for, so the Vita Boys give this a title a 9 out of 10 and a must buy.
Toukiden.
Hit that like button, guys, and leave us a comment below what you thought, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be entered in our weekly game giveaway. But until next time, Vita Boys out. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments below what you thought. We'll see you guys next time with more PlayStation Vita content.